I got him in a carrier. I got him in a carrier.
You know what? I'll just say this. The grocery store gonna get mad at me if I complain about the carts not being returned.
Wait, what?
Like if I come on the podcast and complain about something or talk about something,
Yeah.
am I supposed to talk about no people, places, or things while I'm here?
Honey, you've got a big storm coming.
Hello everyone, how are you today? I hope you're having a really good day so far. If you're new here, my name's Taylor. I come to you from Baltimore City, Maryland, and here on my YouTube channel, I feature content that's generally focused on knitting and spinning. I am having the very best day so far, and that is because of so many of you. We'll dive into that really quick so I can say thank you, and then we'll get into the knitting. So I'm like overwhelmed. I'm overcome. I am ecstatic. I have, as you know, had you watched I think my 1 or 2 recent videos, I've been going through a lot. After my dad died, a hurricane was coming straight for my mother's house, whom I am a bit estranged from. She doesn't like to hear from me. And I was very anxious and concerned about that. And then one of my feral cats came home finally after not being around for a week. And he had a severe health concern. He was very uncoordinated. My first thought was rabies. I was very anxious. I gave it a little time. A day passed. I was about to finally do something, which felt like a day too late, but you know, it's like 10 o'clock at night. You're not just gonna stop everything and whatever. It's hard with ferals because sometimes they're there, sometimes they're not. So he didn't show up again the next morning, the next night. And I thought, oh my God, like he is dead in a ditch somewhere. And I've been caring for this cat for 9 years. Ever since we moved in here, I've known it as an older kitten in the alleyway. It's one of 3 kittens that brought me to the awareness that there are cats that no one cares for in Baltimore City. Like it never occurred to me. Anyway, it was the first time I had seen like so many cats not being cared for, and that kitten and its 2 siblings and the other cats I came to know started me on my journey of TNRing cats in my immediate area. TNR, trap, neuter, release. So anyway, I knew he was vaccinated at least once against rabies, and my in-house veterinarian, Brian's sister, was like, it's not likely because of the vaccine, but you know, you can never rule it out. You know, they don't even test for rabies on live animals. Like you have to kill the animal first and then test for it. It's very sad. Anyway, so that was my greatest fear and anxiety. And I'm like feeding this cat, like I'm inches from this cat. I'm thinking like you could end my life right now if I were being stupid. But I kind of knew it had been vaccinated at least once. It actually was vaccinated 2 years ago when I sought medical treatment for the same cat. and you might remember Tabby with White. Tabby with White is such a sweet boy. It took years for me to pet him, and he has warmed up to me so much in the great amount of time I've been feeding him day and night. So I reached out to the Street Kitty Fund at showyoursoftside.org, who helped me with him years ago. They approved my request for financial aid, and I was able to get an appointment. I got him in a carrier. And I fumbled the ball on my first attempt. He wasn't there for breakfast. He was looking through the yard and down the alley, and I really remembered, like, he does sleep in the compost bin. So I lifted the tarp over the compost bin, and there he was. And he didn't hear me because he has a middle ear infection. He saw me, he got out, he came to breakfast. I grabbed him by the scruff, tried to get the front arms, as we do when we're handling ferals. It's like one of the best ways to grab a cat. And I couldn't get him in the carrier, and he got on my grasp, and I freaked the heck out of him. So I was like, of course, my like stress chemicals were in my bloodstream. I went inside. I was like, Brian, I didn't do it. And then I went back out. I kind of stalked him a little in the yard, like, here, kitty, kitty. He can't hear me. I watched him take the longest pee I've ever watched a cat pee. So thank God I didn't get him in the carrier the first time, because obviously he just woke up. He went to the bathroom. I kind of scared him a little bit, went back inside, came out. He went for the food again. Thank God he was so hungry. He was willing to put up with me a little bit more because he trusts me. I scared him. So this time I got him from the scruff, and I had a death grip. I was not letting go of the scruff because I knew this was my chance. Grabbed the arms, pushed him in the carrier, pushed him all the way into the carrier, and I got him. That was, I knew once I had him in the carrier, everything was going to be okay. Brian took him to his appointment today, and thank you, Brian, because if it weren't for you, I would have been not recording right now. So I'm just so grateful to all of you who helped support my fundraiser for the Show Your Soft Side organization. I'm not like a middle person. I posted it, and all the money goes straight to them. And we more than, I think, doubled the expense of his care today. So not only did you all help me in supporting and caring for this special little cat in my life, you're also helping to support the medical care of other kitties in other people's lives. So I'm just so grateful. I'm crying because I'm so like overwhelmed by the support and love and care that you all have shown me through this cat. So I'm just like very happy. Editing Taylor here. There are so many people in need right now, and so many animals too that have survived these recent hurricanes. And so if you are just seeing this video now and there's anything you want to do to support a community near or afar, just go find any of these fundraising campaigns for people that are genuinely in severe need. That could be the Red Cross, it could be maybe the Humane Society or the SPCA local to Florida or Georgia or North Carolina or any of these towns affected by these recent hurricanes. I realize that there are so many people in like so much more need than I have been the last 3 days. So if you want to do something, please do something to support them because they really need it. I just feel incredibly grateful to all of you and this amazing community that I just love so much. I love my cat community, but I think I love the knitting community more because so many of you are cat people and you totally understand. And there have just been so many good things happening lately. I'm excited to tell you about, not just that, but so much more. So I'm gonna stop crying now. I'm gonna have a sip of my second coffee. I try to just have one coffee a day because I'm already a little like right now naturally, but Whenever I make my second cup of coffee, I squirt a little MCT oil. It's just coconut oil that doesn't solidify, basically. And that kind of keeps me from getting a tummy ache or like weirdly jittery, but I just felt like I needed to get even more jazzed today because I have been so jazzed since I got him in that carrier and I got the appointment and it's all paid for, and I'm just so grateful. I'm so grateful. And on top of all of that, I get to go out of town. I get to visit one of 2 Sheep and Wool festivals I attend every year. I'm going to Rhinebeck. I'm going to the New York State Sheep and Wool Festival per usual, and I'm very excited. And I have a lot to share about that. This is what I'm wearing. So if you see someone wearing this, that's me. It is the Better Waverly cardigan. I felt like I should represent. I don't wear this a lot on camera because I feel like I've worn it a lot prior to releasing the pattern, and I'm trying to keep it diverse in my wardrobe, but I do wear this a lot. And I did get a comment about the front of it having too much fabric. I think it could look like that depending on how it's worn. Like it can look a little awkward if the buttons are positioned differently, because it does have, it's like a hybrid between a crew neck cardigan, which I don't like to wear personally. It's a hybrid between a crew neck and a like V-neck. I like the look of a V-neck. I don't like the wear of a V-neck. I don't like the way that V-neck cardigans slip off my shoulders. So I designed this intentionally to have like this very untraditional sort of like shape. So it's not for everyone. It's totally up my alley, and it might be up yours. Dolman-esque type of depth to the yoke, shaping for the waist, and nice open loose fit sleeves with a little bit of a bell. Love this pattern. I love this. It looks great too when you just kind of like pull up the sleeves. And of course it's a full-length sleeve, so you can wear it under like coats that have like, you know, space for bulky. It's a worsted weight sweater. It's not bulky, but you know, a heavier weight garment. So I like the sleeve lengths are like long enough that you can put a coat on effortlessly. And because the arms are so wide at the upper bicep, actually it doesn't even hit the upper bicep. It's more like the mid bicep where the small circumference begins. You can layer like anything under this. I have right now my drop shoulder. Is this the Novelli? I think this is the Novelli by Caitlin Hunter. This is my hand spun from fiber I processed from 2 fleeces. And then this is hand spun yarn made of Kashgora fiber that I picked up at Port Fiber in Portland, Maine. Port Fiber in Portland, Maine. And I would 100% get myself an entire sweater quantity of this. It's a luxury yarn. The halo is magnificent. There is like no pilling to this portion of my sweater. My hand spun has pilled ever so slightly, but I found a pattern. I'm going to tell you about it in a future video because it needs like the perfect yarn, and this could be it. But I have a lot of videos planned. I have been doing my homework Thursday and Friday night. I have prepped content for at least 4 future videos. I'm very lucky to have a sponsorship in the pipeline, and in order to do that and fulfill that obligation, I need the content pre-recorded. You all know I sit down Saturdays, I upload Sundays. Like, this turnaround is quick. So I'm trying not to buckle under pressure in life. I feel like I am resilient and I will figure it out. So that's what I'm doing, and I have so much to talk about. But we're gonna dive into this week's content now. I'm gonna share with you a couple of things. I got this sweet bag It's like the perfect little project bag with an order. And I did cast on a pattern by Sydney Crabaugh. I think that's how you say her name. Squidney Knits. I cast on the beginning of the home front jumper. You know that pattern I've been talking about knitting for like 4 years? I'm knitting it now. And I did this in one sitting during a game, a football game on television. And I put it down and I haven't picked it up. But the hard part's over. I have swatched, I have cast on, I am knitting the ribbing, and this is gonna be my background easy project, my background small volume easy project for the future. And I anticipate having this to wear around March or April. So there's that. I also bound off this shawl that is a gorgeous pattern, and I will one day with the right fabric yarn, with the right yarn, I will knit this again, but I quit knitting it with this fiber. It's just not drapey enough. It's not luxurious enough. The stitch definition could be more present. I don't think that the worsted spun, yarn was the best for this. I just wasn't like, once I got started and I saw the fabric for what it was, I wasn't loving it. So I just bound it off, and now I can wear it as like a kerchief. I'm gonna weave in the ends, and I will take this with me to Rhinebeck in case I get a little chilly. I feel like it matches my outfit well enough, I don't know, I'll have to sort it out. I did block it, but hopefully like, I don't know, it just doesn't have the drape that I like, So there's that. Kind of cute, pretty cute. Love it. And this is, I'll put the pattern on the screen here if you're wondering what shawl pattern this is. It's gorgeous. It's a gorgeous shawl. In fact, I just remembered I have so much more to share with you, and I can't show you my phone because I'm recording on my phone. So I need to get my iPad to show you something very important. If you're going to Rhinebeck, it's a tip, it's a trick, it's something I advise. If you're going to Rhinebeck and you are planning to buy yarn for projects you're planning, you might need to know how much yardage to buy or things that you would normally find on Ravelry. And something you need to know is you're not always going to have cell service. So you're going to try to open that page on Ravelry and it's not going to load, and you're not going to know the yards you need. So you need to just write that stuff down. I put all this data copy paste into my notepad. You can copy photos. Did you know that your notes are this smart? If you have an iPhone or even an Android, just use your notepad. Copy all that data, put it somewhere. Keep it handy. I have the type of yarn each pattern requires, so I can know exactly how much I need for any of one of them. And I think that this is going to come in handy so many times throughout the day on Saturday, because you can't get websites to load. I swear, it's impossible. So come prepared if you want to buy the right amount of yarn, and that is my pro tip for festival shopping. Is that detail not amazing? I love it. That's the pattern. Okay. Speaking of Sydney Crabaugh, she just came out with a new pattern on Patreon. If you don't know, her patterns are available only when you subscribe to her Patreon. And then you have access to all of her patterns, which feels like a crime. I have subscribed to her Patreon for an entire year, the very first year she started. And then I think I lost my job and I canceled all of my subscriptions. But then when I got an email about her new pattern and I saw a very blurry image of it, I needed to know what it was, and I resubscribed, and I'm gonna cast on her new pattern with the yarn I purchased last year at Rhinebeck Sheep and Wool. I did not come home with this yarn from Rhinebeck, but I was at the Harrisville Designs booth. I'm obsessed with Harrisville Designs, Brooklyn Tweeds, Loft and Shelter yarns are both milled there. Harrisville Designs has a yarn called Shetland that is not from Shetland. It's not from Shetland wool, but they call it that because I think it's inspired by real Shetland wool. I digress. They're milled. The people there are really nice. They're very cool people. Like, I saw a framed photo of Laura Palmer in their booth at Rhinebeck, and I'm like, what is happening right now? Like, why? And I asked, I was like, why do you have a picture of Laura Palmer? And they're like, we just thought it fit the vibe. And I thought that is a good enough answer for me. Now I'm gonna go buy the yarn that you don't have to sell me in person right now, because that's the yarn I want. And I wanted a pitch black worsted weight sweater quantity. I was gonna knit this into my second version of Nora Gong's Nightingale pullover. It's like a puff sleeve, very vintage vibe. But I decided instead I'm probably gonna knit a large jacket. So that's my plan. I haven't swatched, but I figured I would tell you about my future project I have not yet started. And then I have a lot to do between now and Thursday because I want to finish working. I have just a few rows left of the first back panel, and then I need to do the lower portion of garter rib, and then this piece is done, and then I only have to knit the second back panel, and I'll have my two fronts and my two backs, and then I think the next instructions are probably to join them all together and then start working the sleeves. So having a back panel to travel with, I think will be a really great, easy knitting project, like a while walking type of project. And I'm excited to have that on my needles while out of town. So I do need to finish this so that I can start that. And then my second backup project, I think, is gonna be finishing the last inch or so of my second sleeve of the Chained Oblivion cardigan, and then I'm going to cast on and begin the body. It is worked from the bottom up. You join the sleeves, you do the raglan shaping. I'm very anxious about the raglan shaping because what if the yoke isn't deep enough? What if I didn't knit the body long enough? What if I knit the body too long? What if my sleeves aren't long enough? All I can do is follow the instructions, put a little bit of trust in Kelsey, who wrote the pattern, and just move on. And that's what I'm gonna do. I don't know if you know this about me yet. If you've watched my channel for a while, you might already know. I just don't trust easily. And that's something that I think I need to talk to a therapist about, is just my lack of trust in people. I don't know, whatever. It has propelled me to knit my own patterns, so I'm not hurting for it, but I'm struggling to like trust the pattern. So, or it's not the pattern, it's trust the bottom up knitting process. I don't trust it. I don't trust it. So with that in mind, I will grab, because I didn't bring it over here, my Velocore. This is another pattern worked from the bottom up. And of course I have it on one cable, so it's not easy to show you at all. And I stopped mid-row. If I just turn it over, I can give you a little more perspective. So it's pretty much knitting a tube and then splitting for the front and the back, and then joining the tube at the top. In theory, this is about as wide as my drop shoulder will rest. Something like that. And that is not the right amount of ease, I think, required. And this is something that I talk about a lot. My shoulders are broader than my waist. So when I and my bust is small, it's like a 32-inch bust. So when I calculate my positive ease, sometimes the ease that fits my chest doesn't necessarily translate to my shoulders when we're talking about a drop sleeve. So when I'm knitting drop sleeves, I need to add more ease than what I would add to a raglan or something else. So obviously, this is mosaic knitting, and it is knit in fingering weight. I'm holding 2 strands of mohair double for the contrast colors. I'm not ripping out and redoing that. at all. And I actually really like the amount of ease for the body. I think that it's appropriate. I love that everything I have coordinates right now. What I don't love is the thought of a drop sleeve design hitting nearly at my shoulders. So what I'm doing to fix this issue is right at the same time that I split for the front and the back, I started increasing a stitch on both sides, every contrast stripe. So it's like every 4 rows, I think. And here you can see what once was, so this design is quite brilliant. You take one of these little cable, like faux cable areas, and you split it, and that makes up the like raw edge. So just inside of that, I started increasing enough that once I had 3 of my contrast stitches and then 2 of my like main color slip stitches, I continued the slip stitch pattern. I'm working towards doing that one more time. So I'm adding about 1 inch on both sides, 2 inches roughly on both sides. So that's adding 4 inches across. And that means that if I hold this up again, I'm gonna have like 2 inches here, 2 inches here. And I think it'll be a much more appropriate drop shoulder. Now this hasn't been wet blocked, so it can grow, and I expect it will grow, but I would much rather it be longer than 2 inches off the shoulder than only just 2 inches off the shoulder. So I felt that this modification for me is necessary, and it's not unlike other drop shoulder designs I've knit. I knit a drop shoulder sweater called Jenny's Drop Shoulder. I got that pattern out of a book by, I forget the name of the designer, but if you look on Ravelry, Jenny's Drop Shoulder, you'll find it. And in that pattern, once you split for the sleeves, you did increase to make the shoulders more broad. And that's basically what I did with my self-designed pattern of a drop shoulder I knit for Brian. So I'm very confident that this is going to work out in theory and in execution. So that's what I'm doing to modify my velour. I think also it means that I'll probably have enough yarn, because if I just knit this entire body with 4 extra inches of fabric, I don't think I would have had enough. So this allowed me to make this pattern possible. I'm still kind of sort of playing a game of yarn chicken in a sense. Like, I don't know. I mean, this is the amount of yarn I have. I think that this will be fine. And this is the contrast colors. I love that that neon yellow, it's like up close, it really pops, but at a distance, it just blends with everything else without being like too contrast to my rather muted everything. So this is going to come on the trip. I think it'll be a good car project, a good sitting still project. This will be a great walking and talking project. And then we'll see if this happens. I think if I devote all of my time to having my next panel cast on and ready to roll, that might be enough. And then obviously I'm going to weave in these ends. It's like no big deal. So this might be when I get back, but I'm going to try to cast on this body before I cast on anything else, including even potentially knitting the swatch for this project. That's almost everything I'm working on right now. I like to cast on new projects before I've wrapped up and finished old ones, because I find that once I've felt the feeling of being finished and that sensation washes over me, I'm not ready to start something. So I need to start something before that feeling comes. Otherwise, I'll be in a lull of not starting things. So starting things, finishing things. Are you still here? I have a lot of granny squares to show you. That's about the only thing I've made lately. and it's not actually that many. I think I last showed you this one, which I think I accidentally crocheted on a F hook instead of a G hook because they were the same color. And I probably showed you this one. So these are like cute, they're very different. But one thing's consistent throughout all my granny squares is the first 2 rows are always going to be with the same color. I just like them that way. That's the way I like them. I don't know why. It's like, if there's nothing consistent about all of my granny squares, let it be that, right? It gives some uniformity amongst chaos. Then I have this one, which is so cute. I really like that one. It is green and gold and mauve and red. Then I have this one, which is way too green and blue. I won't repeat that one. I just don't, I think it's too, I don't know. I think it brings balance, but it's just not, there's not a bright pop in it. And I'd rather keep a little bit of brightness as much as possible. Here's another one I would not redo. It is just too mid. There's no real true brightness. It is very autumnal, but I just don't think it like pops the way so many others do. So these are ones I'm probably gonna tuck like in the shade of my armpit, or, you know, not, they won't be focal granny squares. And then the last one is this one, which is quite bold. That high contrast of dark and yellow, I think, is radical. And then I like that it's followed up with like very muted tones. I want to record a granny square tutorial. I feel like I have a very unique technique to weaving in the ends as I go effortlessly, in a way that's not obvious. Like you can barely even tell that I didn't sit here with a darning needle like more than once. So I want to go into depth about exactly my process for granny squares, and I do want to have that video scheduled for next Sunday during Rhinebeck, so that if you're home, if you're a crocheter, you might enjoy that video. And I would just really like to be consistent again here on YouTube with my channel uploads. This is something that does bring me joy, and I do want to prioritize. I love how the outer rows like work really well together. And I had a breakthrough on my color management I would like to share. Here is the main color. This is going to connect all of my grannies. You can see that I have very little yardage of many colors. I have 75 grams of this gorgeous auburn orange amber color, 50 grams of this bright yellow, about 75 grams more or less of this blood orange, and I guess I have 50 grams of this green. So that is, among these 1, 2, 3, 4 colors, I have about double of those 4 colors than I do all the other colors. So what my plan is to incorporate 1 round of one of these colors in each of my squares. 2 rounds of each of these colors. The other color is up for debate. It could be a combination of 2, it can be a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I think in the beginning, I want to be heavy on the ones I have more yardage for, because as I get through my squares, I'm going to maintain the most variety in colors. I don't want to use all of the yardage of all of these and then only have these left. But I think of all the colors to have a lot of, I think it's a good variety. There's some brights, there's some muted, there's a nice gradient happening. I love that gradient. So I will do a square of like those 3 together, but that's my goal. I also want to, in my color management, think about contrast more and do a lot less. Actually, I don't hate the square because there is high contrast with the center and the green. Another thing you might have noticed already is that I do like squares that repeat one color alternating the other two. So far it's only been with the outer row, but it could certainly be with the big square and the other one. Just depends on, I guess, the colors. There's endless possibilities here in front of me. But I think I thought I was onto something with this, and then I realized that that's not it. I don't want to do too many cool tone colors together. And if I do, I want to break it up with like a warm pop. Same thing with this. I thought I was doing like a bunch of warm tones and then a cool pop, but there's not enough contrast. So I'm not gonna like toss these. They're still valuable, and I learned from making them, but I am gonna kind of position them out of sight where they are not featured, like I said. And you know, something that did kind of occur to me is that other than the yellow and my small quantities of various colors, like I don't have a lot of contrast. So I think I just need to like throw a pop of yellow in where I'm using low contrast. I'm not connecting green and yellow in any squares together. I just don't like, I don't like it. I think it's too, like I like to keep the warm yellow on the warm spectrum and leave the dark green hues like alone. Like the dark green hues might be where I struggle with finding higher contrast. I might have to keep joining those with like browns and like reds. I think the green and the red really pops. I think that the yellow, it's like not enough contrast. I mean orange. So there's that. I also have an emergency skein of dark, which I can also incorporate with the greens. I just wish I had more brights, but it is what it is. See what I did here? I did this and this, too similar. Like this wasn't enough contrast. It looks great together, and then you crochet it and you're like, isn't it great though? Maybe if I did different combinations of them, I'm not sure. I feel like with this project I can play, and play is something that I am finding, the sense of play, the feeling of play. I think that's something that is very healing right now for me, to just kind of like embrace my inner child and have fun and like do whatever I want. That has been a joy. So, you know, there's going to be some favorites. There's going to be some fails. I think, did I say this already? I think I knit this. It's not knitting. But I think that this is slightly too small. You probably won't, you don't know. You can't tell the difference. Get over it, Taylor. Okay, that's my crochet progress so far. My blocking board is still going strong. I'm not packing this because it's too much yarn to carry, but this is my, I need to get on a roll with this. I need to get a plan in action, because I haven't, other than the 2 I made one day and then the 4 I made the next day, I haven't made anything in a while. But obviously I got a lot going on. So that's it for this week's episode. That's not it. That's not it at all. I have so much more. We're not going to do the 5 favorite things this week, but I will continue that segment. I do have some I've thought about already. In fact, I'm just going to tell you about it now, because it might be too late if I don't tell you now. It's a 2-for-1. I bought this because the price was too good, and I was afraid it would sell out before the Sephora sale. If you don't know, Sephora does a 20% off. If you're a certain member, it's 10 to 20% off. I spent way too much money last year at Sephora, and I'm somehow a VIB. I know that I won't be next year, unfortunately. But in a few weeks, I will get 20% off an order, and I couldn't wait. I wanted it that bad. I wanted it before it ran out. I just needed to have this holiday gift set. I buy myself a lot of presents during the holiday season. It's just something I do. This is from Crown Affair. It is a dry shampoo and a leave-in conditioner. It is a leave-in conditioner that offers heat protection, which is important to me because sometimes I do style my hair. I've been doing it a lot more lately than you've seen. but it's like one of those self-care things that makes me feel good. I can go into the office and feel confident and comfortable and not wonder if I look like a mess, which I do most of the time. This is a really nice leave-in conditioner. This is the small 1.7 ounce bottle. I would very much like to have a full-size bottle. It bothers me how nice this packaging is because it is heavy glass. They're not messing around with this. Like, you could knock someone out with this. Not that you should, but you could. And they also have a gift set of the full size of this with a very expensive hair towel. The weird thing about Crown Affair is like they have really great products. They're priced as much as every other really nice brand, like luxury brand. But then they have these hair accessories that are insanely priced. Like, nobody, who is paying $50 for 2 hair clips? Not me. I got mine at Old Navy for $5 on clearance. That's how I shop. But when I saw this gift set, it was like $45, which is not cheap. But I got to try this at a small volume. This exact product retails for $18, which is not even that bad. Especially, like, I think it's always better if you could pay less for less volume, even though you're paying more per ounce. If you've never tried it before, you don't know if you'll like it. And honestly, you can return it. If you don't like it, you can return it to Sephora. So there's that. The dry shampoo, I can't tell you about yet because my hair was washed yesterday. It arrived yesterday evening. I put a little in my hair, but not much. And then I washed my hair that night anyway. So I haven't had dirty hair to use this with. But the thing about this dry shampoo is that it's not an aerosol can. So you're not using an aerosol spray, which does make it good for travel. It is non-liquid, obviously. It's a dry shampoo, but some are. And there's this little swivel, so you can like open it, and then when you pack it away, you can close it. And I guess you tap it out into the lid, swirl it around, and you use the brush to apply it to your roots. So you can really like put it exactly where you want it instead of like spraying the whole area. I think I'm gonna struggle with putting enough in my hair. And then, I don't know. The smell is very subtle. Some people like it, some people don't. I don't know how you could not like that. It's very clean. It's not too florally. It's not too masculine. It is a bit unisex. Like, it's clean girl vibe. It's a clean girl vibe. I like the minimalist, like, packaging. The aesthetic is nice. Kind of fits like everyone, in my opinion. And I like it. I'm glad I bought it. I'm honestly, based on how well I get on with both of those, I will buy it again on sale. I will. Just to have it and know that I never have to buy it again. That's the person I am. If I had a family of 4, you best believe I'd be at Costco every week. But I don't. I only have cat. Actually, I've thought about joining Costco just for the discount on litter and cat food, but I'm very particular about my cat food. So anyway, I have one more thing to show you, and that is a rather exciting, oh, I'm lying still. I'm sorry. This is a long video. I hope you're here for it. If you're not, I think you're missing out, but that's my opinion. Obviously, I'm feeling myself right now because I'm in a really good mood, and I have so much I want to talk about. Can you tell that I'm like riding a high from this morning, like rescuing homeless cats? Obviously, I didn't rescue them, but I'm helping. Lantern Moon. What more can I say? Cord swivels. Brilliant. The cord, it's like not stiff or weird. It has like, and it swivels. So like, even if it were stiff and weird because it's been wrapped up for like a hot minute, you just swivel it. You don't have to like fumble around with it. The needles are very cute. They're black. They have really bold gold text that you can read. It will wear off, I'm sure. And the connectors are gold, which is so stylish. Brian knew that I was like going through a lot. I was like, you know, not great. And he just like wanted to buy me something. He was like, what would you like? What would you not buy yourself that you like need? What I would not buy myself that I probably do need are not only more knitting needles in certain sizes, but new cords. These cords are everything. If you have your own set of interchangeable knitting needles, you could just buy the cords if you want new cords. They are the same as Knitter's Pride. I've already done the testing for that. So I got so many new needles. I think I have another thing too is that this brand, Lantern Moon, they have sizes, US sizes 2.5 interchangeable needles. The smallest I've ever seen before that was a 3. So not only do I have 3 number 3s, I have 2.5s now, which is really exciting. So I got 2.5s, 3s, 4s, 5s, and 7s. Why did I skip 6? I don't know. The biggest size I ever really knit on is a 7, and usually I go down to needle sizes for the ribbing. So I probably should have gotten a 6 just in case I need it for gauge, but I didn't want to spend the extra money. And I got, well, okay, funny. This is a blessing in disguise. I was in the shower. I was probably crying in the shower, and Brian was placing his order for the knitting needles. He was like, which ones do you want? I was like, I want these sizes, and they need to be 4 inches. 4 inches, 4 inches, 4 inches. And when he was purchasing the cords, he saw that only certain cords were for 4-inch tips only. And in his head, he thought, I can't buy 4-inch tips because these cords don't say for 4-inch tips. Because he's not a knitter. He doesn't know that the smallest cords are only for 4 inches because you can only bend the needle enough to make the cord work. He realized after the fact. And the 5-inch needles arrived. I was surprised. And at first I was disappointed because I always use 4-inch needles, except that right now I'm working on a project that I only have 5-inch needles for, and I'm really liking it. But it never occurred to me that I'm working on 5s because in my head I always use 4s, 4 inches. So I'm like, like you bought the wrong ones, Brian. I said 4 inches, 4 inches, 4 inches. And he bought me the 5 inches. And at first I was like, that sucks. Like that's not what I said. Didn't go there. I kept it positive because that's what you do when someone buys you a nice gift. You stay positive. And it was a blessing in disguise because I actually really like working on 5s. I really do. Can you knit a hat on 5s? No, you really can't easily, unless you're doing magic loop, which I do like magic loop, but sometimes I don't, especially with hats. Like I just rather, yeah, I'm never knitting hats anyway. So shawls, sweaters, cardigans, all the things that I knit, 5s are actually better. They are. I like them better. And I know I sound like I'm just convincing myself of that because I want it to work, but I think it's true. Anyway, I haven't used them, but I'm so excited. And I got every size cord except the smallest because 4 inches. But I first asked for the longest ones. I probably didn't need one of the 2 lengths, like the middle long length. And they do have gold cord connectors, which if I were really being extra, I would have asked for just so that the ends all match. But I already have cord connectors. No one cares if they're silver or gold. But I have, I think like 40 and 60, I don't know. I don't know what sizes these are. They're just big, they're long. They're so long that with a cord connector, I could like basically block a shawl and then bind it off. And then block it again. If I wanted to. I don't think I would. But you know what I mean? Like sometimes it's nice to just have that cord on the edge. I'm winding these up a little tighter than I should have. I like to wind up my cords. I know it can make them a little kinky, but that is, this wire is a lot less stiff than these cords. I went through all of my cords. Of all of the cords, I only have 3 busted cords to get rid of. I'm sure there's more, but they're like inside of projects right now. So as I work through my projects, I'll probably be getting rid of some of my older cords, but these are trash. I'm going to toss these because I really don't need to hold on to them now that I have my new ones. And now that I've talked about these with you all, I'm going to put them into my knitting needle case, which is this. I love this little vintage bag, and it just has like 2 compartments. I have all my cables and all of my fixed. So I have my cables, and then at the bottom here, I have all of my needles. Whenever I'm starting something new, I just pull them all out and look through them. I find it just saves space that way. I don't need them all stored separately. It would be way too big of an object. I love that like all of my needles are this little thing. I could put this in any travel bag. And I just think that this is perfect. This is like so me. My friend Olivia gave this to me. She is so dear. She finds the best stuff at the thrift store. Like she has an insane walk-in closet with the most like gorgeous pieces. And I can't believe she gave that to me because it's perfect. And I love it. I think of her all the time. Even though she's not a knitter, she's like she is a iconic contribution to my knitting aesthetic. And so is Brian. So I'm very glad to have those. I'm very excited about that. And one last gift I've gotten is a surprise package from my Aunt Linda. I'm gonna go get it. My Aunt Linda is also a knitter, but she decided she didn't need and would gift to me my grandmother's vintage coat. This is real fur. I don't know what kind of fur. I mean, it could be a sheep's skin. I don't know what other animal is as curly as this. It could be like a yak or something. It's too soft. I don't know. Very cute. Real leather. Gorgeous, gorgeous. Has this like sick button detail. I think I'm gonna wear this to Rhinebeck. I think that this is gonna be my morning coat because when we are standing in line to enter the festival, you're not moving. It can be windy. It's early morning, like 8:30. And I think I would love a nice, cozy, squeaky leather coat to stand in. And then we'll go to the wool barn, we'll do the wool thing, and then we'll go back to the car and I'll probably change into my windbreaker because this is like very extra. I feel very chic. I feel very cool. I feel like a mob wife, cool girl in this coat. So I don't know. I need some like hoop earrings or something to wear with this. But I love it. And my cardigan fits inside of it perfectly. And I just think it's like the best. The pockets are like this very soft kind of like felt. And I just think this is like so chic. I'm obsessed. I love it so much. So if you see this coat, it'll be me wearing it. And if I'm not wearing my coat so that you can find me in the crowd, I will show you my windbreaker and my bag. I don't know if it's gonna rain. I don't think it's gonna rain. But this is the raincoat I would have worn last year had I brought one. That was quite miserable, honestly. Nothing worse than being cold in the rain. This is like my favorite jacket of all time. It's light, it's water resistant, it's swishy, very loud. I don't know if you hear it the way I hear it right now, but it matches everything. It matches my life. And I think that my newest knitted shawl looks very nice with it. So I might be wearing this too. I think I'm gonna do the coat in the morning and then remove the coat and dress more appropriately for walking around outside. And I may or may not be wearing this shawl. I don't know. It depends on the weather. I think it's going to get to like 75, so I probably won't even be wearing a windbreaker. But this combination of cardigan and windbreaker was like a staple for a hot minute. I pretty much never even like separated the two. I would just put them on together. So there's that. Also, one last thought before Rhinebeck, because this is not important, but this is what I'm thinking about. You know how like when you go out and you're like, what bag am I gonna bring? This is the bag I'm thinking about bringing because it kind of matches. It's my dad's camera bag from when he served in the National Guard. He was a photographer, and back in his day, which is like late 60s, early 70s, I don't know. He was born in 48, so he was 22 in 1970. So this is his camera bag, and he would be suspended from a helicopter perpendicular to the ground to photograph aerial shots, which is sick. So this bag, it's like a nice little front pouch. It's so good for knitting out of because there's this little thing here that kind of holds it like from being like totally open. And I mean, you could just like knit out of it. It kind of matches this. I think it looks cool with my mob wife coat too, because it gives it like a water world vibe, you know, like a kind of like piecemeal, you know, intergenerational assembly of iconic looks is what I'm getting from it. But this is going to be my bag because I like that it has a crossbody or over the shoulder strap. So there's that. It has 2 compartments on the sides. I already packed my wet wipes into the side pocket here because when I shop for fleeces, there's nothing worse than having dirty hands when you're about to eat like fried food. You don't want sheep poop and pee poo poo on your hands. So I'm bringing baby wipes, and you know, they're smart there. They have them at the checkout now, but say you're shopping for fleeces, you're not buying one, you're still gonna need baby wipes if you're poking around in those bags. So pack yourself some hand wipes, or hand sanitizer works. You could obviously go wash your hands, but the lines in the bathroom are crazy. You're better off finding a porta potty. Just saying. In that case, you need your hand wipes or hand sanitizer. So those are my 2 requirements. Hand sanitizer, baby wipes. Brian's going to carry my water bottle because I am a little, you know, shopping princess. I need room for stuff. And I think that this will work for that. Are you going to Rhinebeck? Will I see you there? Let me know. And that's it for this week's episode of the Threadsmen podcast. I want to thank you so much for watching. If you want to find me on social media, my name is TAYLOREOWEN on Ravelry and Instagram. You can find me over on TikTok as Taylor Knits. I don't get on the schmick schmock TikTok these days. I'm all about the reels, baby. I'm all about the reels. So that's it. I want to thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far into this week's video, let me know with the ram emoji because I can't wait to hang out with them next week. And I will see you in 2 weeks' time. Again, I hope to have a crochet tutorial online for next week. So check it out if you're so inclined. And until then, I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful week, and that you take care.